Yes, so do I. So let's talk about the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
We talked about it in our last show before the new year. And Lee, are you also a voting member of the Hall of Fame?
I am.
Okay, good. Now let's talk about the guys that got in. This is a really loaded class. We've got Tyson, you've got Chavez, and we've got Zoo. And then if that weren't enough, then we got Sylvester Stallone going in for Rocky. What do you think? What do you think of this class?
Very strong class. One of the strongest three-man classes since they went to the three guys since 2007, when Ricardo Lopez, Roberto Duran, and Pernell Whitaker got in. Very strong class.
Okay, and so I'm always interested, and I guess in every sport you got people who talk about guys who got snubbed and people who aren't in the Hall of Fame yet. So let's go over some names of some guys that I had questions about, that I still have questions about. Naseem Hamed.
Naseem Hamed, easily. I've voted for him every year that he's been on the ballot since, I can't remember exactly when he first appeared on the ballot.
I think this was his third year.
Yep. It's his third year now, and I mean, great fighter. He cleaned out his division. He fought most of the top guys, with the exception of Morales and Juan Manuel Marquez, and he knocked everyone out. You know what? He brought a lot of popularity to the lower weight divisions, and definitely deserving.
I voted for him as well. He is probably one of the hardest hitting featherweights to have ever walked the earth. He's just one punch power, exceptional speed, very awkward, difficult to fight. He had many title defenses at WBO. The only knock on him is that he did not meet Juan Manuel Marquez when Marquez was his mandatory for 2 years, and also the way he got undressed with Marco Antonio Barrera. And there's some voters that I'm sure will hold his outspokenness against him.
Great. Okay, what about another guy that I've had some questions about? Miguel Happy Laura.
Lee, I'm going to let you take this one.
I vote for Miguel Happy Laura. He had eight title defenses at bantamweight. He fought some pretty good guys. He decisively beat Daniel Zaragoza to win the championship. Knocked him down several times. Zaragoza's in the Hall of Fame. I think one of the things that you have to look for in a Hall of Famer is dominance over his particular slice of time. And I think that he did that. There are some bantamweights. I think he does qualify. Absolutely. He was quick. He was mobile. He had pretty good power in the right hand. Yeah, most of his fights went the distance, but he outscored most of his opponents.
Great. What about Masao Oba?
That was the Japanese Salvador Sanchez. He put up some serious numbers in his division right before his untimely passing in a car accident. And his best years were ahead of him, just like Sanchez. I haven't voted for him, but I see why people would vote for him, because the potential was there for him to become an all-time great fighter. He wasn't going anywhere. He had cleaned out most of his division, and underrated fighter, because it happened so long ago, and there's not much footage on him now today.
I agree. He's sort of on the fringe. There were some years that I voted for him. There were other years where I saw 10 other fighters who were somewhat more deserving. But he was one of boxing's great unfinished symphonies. He died at age 23, very much like Salvador Sanchez did. He beat Betulio Gonzalez, who is a very accomplished champion. He beat Bertrand Chartvinchai to win his title.
He knocked out Chinoy, correct?
Sumu Hanagata. He fought some very good guys and beat them, and he was very much on his way to becoming a very outstanding flyweight. He was almost crossed over with Miguel Canto. Had he lived, he may have run into Canto.
What a fight that would have been.
Yeah.
Definitely. So Lee, as a voting member, are there any fighters that you've championed that haven't gotten inducted yet?
Oh man, so many. My emphasis is on the bantamweights and the flyweights and the junior flyweights. Myung-Woo Yu, I think, should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he holds the divisional record for flyweight titles or junior flyweight title defense. I think he had 17 or 18 in 2 reigns. You know, you got Sat Chittalada of Thailand, who had 2 reigns at flyweight. You know, you got Gilberto Roman and Santos Laciar.
Lupe Pintor.
Lupe Pintor, absolutely. There are a lot of guys in the lower weight classes who have long shadows of accomplishment, but you know, because a lot of the voters are based in America, they probably have not heard of them, or have not seen film of them, or have not done their due diligence.
But I was telling you.
Right. What about here's an interesting name, a guy that I always like, but I'm not sure whether he belongs or not. Julian Jackson.
You know, if Julian Jackson made it on the ballot, I would vote for him. Jackson was the type of guy, he'd be on the fringe because he was very hot, he was very cold. Either you got him or he got you, but he had some great names on his record in terms of knockouts, always created excitement. He knocked out Terry Norris, knocked out Buster Drayton, knocked out Harold Graham in one of the most memorable knockouts of the 80s, and an all-around good fighter who had many more ups than he did downs.
I agree, Eris. If I were to hire one guy to throw one punch at my worst enemy, it would be Julian Jackson, because, my God, you know, when you talk about one-punch knockouts with both hands, Julian Jackson just had cannons for fists. Exceptional ability, exceptional puncher. And he was pretty fast of hand, pretty fundamentally sound, but... You know, one minus is that he got beat by Mike McCallum very early in his reign, and he didn't have the greatest finish to his career. But when he was at his best, he was among the most dangerous in his era.
Right, and in the short time that we have left, let's set aside some time to talk about a Philadelphia fighter that passed away. Pretty much the epitome of Philadelphia fighter, Bad Benny Briscoe.
You know, I was actually very saddened to hear when Bad Benny Briscoe passed away. He was one of my all-time favorite fighters. As true Philadelphia fighter, only knocked out once in his career by the criminally underrated Rodrigo Valdez. You know, never got the respect. Well, he always, actually, I can't say that. He had all the respect in the world from his peers. Carlos Monzon, who is known as one of the most arrogant guys in history, never gave respect to anyone, actually said Benny Briscoe was the toughest and really respected him. And for that, you got to tell you right there what kind of man Benny Briscoe was. Took no prisoners, fought whoever he wanted to fight, and beat a lot of legitimate guys.
You know, there was a time in the 1970s where there were 4 special middleweights. You had Willie the Worm Monroe, you had Cyclone Hart, you had Benny Briscoe, and you had Bobby Boogaloo Watts. And Marvin Hagler, who fought all of them, called them the Iron because they were so tough.
Yep.
And Benny Briscoe was the solder that held the iron together because he was the best, the most accomplished in a world-class level. He was also a man who was very humble, because during his entire time, his entire professional career, he worked in sanitation for the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more humble a guy can you be?
Right.
And he didn't use gas. He beat those guys with rats.
Right.
With bats. So.
Right.
That's a man.
On that note, you know, rest in peace, Benny Briscoe. Thank you for coming on the show, Lee Groves. The name of the book is Tales from the Vault, 100 Boxing Closet Classics. Lee, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to all our fans out there, happy 2011. And also on a personal note, Kelly Pavlik just got out of rehab, so I wish him the best. I had a chance to meet him once. Very personable guy. Hope he gets everything together. Maybe we'll even see him in the boxing ring again.
Hopefully.
So best of luck to Pavlik and his family. And tune in again next week. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Take care.